Petra from Austrian national television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said you said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
I would fix that within 24 hours. And if I win, before I get into the office, I will have that war settled. 100% sure. As president-elect, if I win this election, the first thing I'm going to do is call up Zelensky and call up President Putin, and I'm going to say, you got to make a deal. This is crazy.
Guarantee I could work that out. I guarantee. I know exactly what I'd say, by the way. I know exactly. I tell one guy this, and I tell one guy that, and I say, you better make a deal.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
As Trump took questions from reporters at the Nato summit, we were given a wee snippet into how Trump is perceived around the world.
And a question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today?
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And, you know, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. You know, Spain is the only country that, are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll
take, for instance, this back and forth with a reporter from Austrian TV, where he basically put Trump on the spot over his claim that he would end the Ukraine-Russia war in a matter of 24 hours. And instead of answering, he instead just rambles about himself, bragging that he ended other wars.
Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you tall one. The tall man.
Mr. President, Johannes Petra from Austrian national television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said you said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look, we just ended a war in 12 days that was simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended Rwanda and the Congo. They're coming to sign the documents. We've already signed basic documents, but they're coming, I think, to the White House on Friday. We ended Serbia was going to go at it. But maybe the most important of all, India and Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look.
And then with the eyes of the world on him, he decided to take time to attack journalists based in the United States. The president and his defense secretary continued their onslaught after reports from CNN alleged that Trump's strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities was about as successful as Trump casinos, Trump ties, and inevitably Trump phones.
Meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer this one.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part?
All right, guys. As you guys can already tell, we're going to be reviewing some of the speech from Trump's NATO speech. And if you guys haven't noticed, we got a new headset. Yes, sir. Moving in. So we're testing out the new mic today. Let me know if it's better or worse and what we should do to improve it. Thank you, guys.
That they want to introduce. And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence. in the data in that report. And why is there low
I do wanna
confidence?
test it too
Because
while
all
we're
of the
talking. So
evidence
this is just
of
a
what was
test.
just bombed by
Can you guys hear
12,
me over there?
30,000 pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel.
I know what you're thinking. This is exactly the type of person that you want heading up the world's leading defense department. Fresh, of course, from the hotel bar.
But you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less.
Trump launched an utterly unhinged, vile and misogynist attack on Truth Social aimed at CNN's reporter, Natasha Bertrand, saying, quote, "She should be fired from CNN. I watched her for 3 days doing fake news. She should be immediately reprimanded and then thrown out, quote, like a dog." She lied on the laptop from Hill story, and now she lied on the nuclear site story, attempting to destroy our Patriot pilots by making them look bad. Before screaming at the end, "Fire Natasha." So for anyone keeping count, Trump now wants the following pundits and reporters fired: Jessica Tarlov from Fox News, a Fox News pollster; Terry Moran, which seems to have been a success, and anyone else who dares question our fearless cult leader. Israeli sources were quoted saying that Iran had moved as much as 880 pounds of uranium enriched to 60% purity from a secure nuclear storage plant.
This question. You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also Iran made the statement. And it's also, if you read the document that was given that we can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage. But they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question, please go ahead.
And not to forget that Trump's very
Wait, guys, that's a good point. So he said we don't think everything nuclear was down there, and he doesn't think that they got any out. I would love to disagree. I'm gonna guess that they were not hiding all their all their nuclear uranium in one base, or even in 3 bases.
own vice president sounded anything but confident when he was asked about the details of the attack on Fox News. He did not confirm the complete and utter obliteration that Trump has touted.
You said totally obliterated. The president has said totally obliterated the Iran nuclear program.
Yeah.
Do you know for sure where all the highly enriched uranium is?
Well, Brett, I think that's actually not the question before us. The question before us is, can Iran enrich the uranium to a weapons grade level? And can they convert that fuel to a nuclear weapon? And we know, based on the success of our mission, of course, the leadership of the president, but the incredible skill of our military, that the 2 mission objectives are completely successful. We know that they cannot build a nuclear weapon. Now, you asked about the highly enriched uranium.
Yeah, like 900 pounds of it.
But what we know, Brett, is that uranium is something that exists in very large supply. Our goal was to bury the uranium, and I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon. I think that's an important point, Brett, because so many of the folks who have focused on the highly enriched uranium,
sure, 60%.
The main focus, Brett, has been to destroy their enrichment capacity, because we don't want that 60% uranium to become 90% uranium. That's the real concern, and that's what was so successful about our mission.
So after all this, if the Iranian government survives as is, what's to stop it from rebuilding over time if they in fact moved the 60% highly enriched uranium? You know, that's the concern.
No, the big concern, Brett, and this is again what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, and further, they don't have the ability to convert that to a nuclear weapon, that is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program, which is why the president, I think, rightly is using that term. But here's the question. if Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future, then they're going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American military again. Our hope is that the lesson that the Iranians have learned here is, look, we can fly a bunker buster bomb from Missouri to Iran completely undetected without landing once on the ground, and we can destroy whatever nuclear capacity you build up. I think that lesson is what's going to teach them not to rebuild their nuclear capacity.
Yesterday,
and again, not to ignore the fact that when Trump himself was asked about the intelligence report that he is blasting the CNN reporter over, he himself admitted that the evidence was inconclusive.
Should we go ahead? One follow-up on Iran. Both you and Secretary Rubio and Hegseth mentioned the leak. But can you clarify, is the intelligence correct or is the intelligence wrong?
Well, the intelligence was very inconclusive. Okay. The intelligence says we don't know. It could have been very severe. That's what the intelligence says. So I guess that's correct. But I think we can take that we don't know. It was very severe. It was obliteration.
And when you look across the board, right, Trump, Hegseth, Vance, they've all taken turns admitting that they, in fact, don't know for sure about the extent of the damage, yet insist it was an obliteration. I mean, the disconnect is a perfect metaphor for this current administration, constantly contradicting each other and reports as the American people are left in the dark. But if you want to see the light, go ahead and look at the recent polls.
Just what have we got, and break them down for us, if you will. How do Americans feel about these airstrikes?
Yeah, I think it's so important to note before we begin that these polls are a snapshot in time, right? These polls were basically completed before the ceasefire, this supposed ceasefire was actually made. Still, I think it's so important to note that Americans not fans of this. And it's not just the CNN SSRS poll. It's a Reuters Ipsos poll as well. All right. The net approval rating on the U.S. airstrikes on Iran. You see it here. 12 points underwater. You're 12 points more likely to disapprove than approve of the strikes on Iran. How about Reuters Ipsos? 9 points underwater. You're 9 points more likely to disapprove. Look at that. You were 58 points more likely to approve than disapprove of those back in 2018 in the same general region, right in the Middle East. But compare that now to Iran. We are 11 points underwater. I have never seen an initial military action of the type that we had in Iran over the weekend by the United States of America be as unpopular as this one was.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MidasTouch.com.
I mean, it's facts, though. Everything they just went through is facts. I kind of want to see more of the actual speech from NATO, so I do have some of that saved. That's we just watched that. Oh yeah, there's this speech that I saw, and there's this as well. I heard that we nabbed.
All right, ICE arresting 16 Iranian nationals since Sunday across 11 states, including one who is accused of serving as a sniper for the Iranian army.
And 2 men accused of trying to assassinate President Trump on behalf of Iran appeared in court yesterday ahead of their trials. Both are charged with murder.
Yo, see, when the fuck did this happen? How come we don't know about this?
Murder for hire.
What is up with this?
Former DHS Secretary Jay Johnson joins us now. I think, Mr. Secretary, thanks so much for joining the program. This is just another account of the failed Biden border policies that we have to deal with right now, right?
I put it this way, Lawrence. The presence in this country of undocumented migrants or Iranian nationals who have links to Hezbollah, IRGC, is, in my judgment, a domestic law enforcement concern of the highest magnitude. I hope and expect that the FBI, my old department, DHS, are laser focused on this right now. There have been the 16 arrests in the last couple of days, but that's not necessarily all of them. My educated speculation is that law enforcement has been tracking these individuals for a while in this country to follow leads, to see who they are in contact with. But I'm glad to see these 16 off the streets.
Talk about the work that goes into finding these individuals, because there are people here on the terror watch list. How do they go about finding them? Because some of these were found in all over the United States: Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, Texas, New York, Maryland, Colorado, California, Arizona.
If the process is working the way it should, this should be an international cooperative effort. I can't tell you the number of times we got a tip from a foreign intelligence agency about someone in another hemisphere trying to make their way to this hemisphere that were interdicted long before they could reach U.S. soil. Our law enforcement capability is really impressive, and we need to stay focused on this. And my overall message to those who are listening is our law enforcement capability, our counterterrorism capability in this country is first rate. Our government should lay out all the things that they are doing to protect the American people. But the public, as we approach a holiday week, the public should not be discouraged going to public events. And the public has a role to play, too. If you see something, say something is still a valid public safety tool, and it does make a difference.
I love the fact that the FBI quickly moved on Iranian illegals here because of the sleeper cell worry, and that president evidently was told at the G7 from some of our allies that look out for sleeper cells that are ready to be activated here in the U.S., and it's got to be a concern.
Sleepers don't necessarily follow the direction from their sponsors. Somebody who's here in the United States who has links to the IRGC, to Hezbollah, may decide to take matters into their own hands.
So, Mr. Secretary, I want to get your comments on this vice mayor. What is that city called?
It's called Cudahy. It's in California.
Her name is Cynthia Gonzalez. This is what she posted on social media as she got a knock on the door from the FBI. Watch.
Are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Torrance, and you guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our people. And like, where you at?
Telling the gangs to get ready to take on ICE.
Who?
That comment is inappropriate, whether you're the
Who is this?
vice mayor of her city or LA or New York or Poughkeepsie, New York. That's an inappropriate comment. And let me add this. What I used to tell people at ICE when I was secretary, Tom Homan included, was when you're out on the streets doing your job, use common sense, because one notorious incident can turbocharge a sanctuary city movement, like we're seeing right now across this country. The ideal situation is where local law enforcement is working effectively with ICE to find these people in pretrial detention, find these people as their sentences end and they're about to be released, put detainers on them, and deport the criminals.
But they're not cooperating now, Mr. Secretary. Back then, you actually deported more people.
3 million.
They're not cooperating, and that's
they didn't show up the way that they show up now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doxing these agents. They're surrounding them. I can just imagine what would you do in this situation?
Oh fuck! They're putting the gangs against ICE. Whoa! Holy shit! That just connected for me. That would be, yo. Hold on now. We've already seen how crazy the LA riots got. Like, we watched that. We've covered that. I can't imagine. Oh my God, chat. That would be
situation
crazy.
when your cops were surrounded
in sanctuary cities.
I personally would talk to the mayor of New York, the mayor of Philadelphia, and the mayor of dozens of other cities to say, you have to work with us. Don't wait for there to be a tragic incident in your city before you decide you need to work with ICE. Let's make this relationship work now.
So DHS commented on that video. She did end up taking that video down. The comments made by the vice mayor of Cudahy, California, Cynthia Gonzalez, are despicable. This kind of garbage has led to a more than 500% increase in assaults against our ICE law enforcement officers. And then the city of Cudahy released this statement. The comments made by the vice mayor reflect her personal views and do not represent the views or official position of the city of Cudahy. The city will be providing no further comment. What does law enforcement do? They went to her house. They're investigating. What should happen?
Well, first of all, when you're a vice mayor of a city, or when you're Secretary of Homeland Security or any other public position, you have very little space for your personal views hearing publicly. She said it, and it was not a good comment. I would counsel our immigration enforcement personnel when they're out in the streets doing their job, looking for undocumented, specifically the criminals, to use common sense in these communities, which are very often blue communities that start off from a position where they don't want to work with ICE. My advice is you have to use your common sense.
Mr. Secretary, you've been on this couch. You've been very upset about what's happening on the border. You've also been complimentary. Have you ever in your life heard about numbers as low as we've been hearing since President Trump took over?
No.
And do you believe he deserves credit for that and the Tom Homan team?
The numbers now are something like, last time I looked, 12,000 a month. The prior administration sometimes saw that in a day.
Wow.
If President Trump said, I've secured the border, that would be a legitimate statement to make, because the numbers now are the lowest in recorded history. Now, let me take that a step further.
Real quick.
I think this president has an opportunity, looking at him in the face right now, and a lot of people won't want to hear this, comprehensive immigration reform. Just like, a Nixon goes to China moment, or a Reagan discusses with the Soviet Union arms control. He is in a position to bring along a lot of Republicans and Democrats at some point before the midterms at an effort at comprehensive immigration reform to fix
We'll have
the
you
broken
back
system.
to talk about that,
Yeah,
Mr.
and he should call you because I know Tom Homan also has great respect for you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Secretary.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
I think there's a problem, bro. I think there's a problem. I do agree with the mayor said. With all of these outbursts and stuff, like it's causing more people to fight the ICE agents. Like I said, guys, we covered the LA ICE raids. We remember seeing how active it got. People were getting shot. They wouldn't let the police out. Not even the ICE members, just LAPD. So I don't know, dude. There's a whole bunch to deal with when you're coming with this, and putting gangs involved with it can get dangerous really fast. What was that other one that we saw? Oh, yeah, this. There's a speech right from Trump.
Hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And
I think it repeats.
People all across the globe is going to increase.
Let's just watch it once.
Because we're going to have better products. So I'm just so grateful to be here today. I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime. I have a couple of kids who are Democrats, are big Bernie Sanders
This guy
fans.
sounds like he's gonna die.
And when I told them that this was going to happen, they had tears in their eyes because they thought this is never going to happen in our lifetime. And we finally have a president who's willing to stand up for the American people. Thank you. And Dr. Oz.
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. This is the most powerful executive order on pharmacy pricing and health care ever in the history of our nation. And it's only happening because we have a president with the fortitude, the guts to stand up to the withering criticism. And
should be fun. I don't know. You'll maybe find reasons why it's not, but I can't imagine, because we have a lot of great things happening. It's been a very strong week and a very strong weekend. Before we begin, let me say a few words about the historic events that took place over the last few days. On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership
we are cooked
of India and Pakistan was unwavering, powerful, but unwavering in both cases, and having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And they did it for a lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade.
Say trade one
with
more
Pakistan.
time.
We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. and we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed, so I'm very proud of that. I also want to thank Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio for their work and efforts. They worked very hard on that. We also, as you know, created a situation where the Houthis, for the first time ever, have ceased firing, and they've let it be known that they're not going to be firing at American ships anymore.
That's what ceasefire
Not going to be
means.
firing at Americans anymore. This was a heavy barrage that lasted for approximately 50 days. And as you know, they've been in war essentially for forever. But over the last 10 years, they've been very difficult for other countries. Nobody was able to do what we did. But they stopped, and we take their word for it. Their surrogates and them directly said, we don't want to do this anymore. And so we were satisfied with that.
What the fuck is he talking about?
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs. Because they don't want to pay 25, 50, or 100% tariffs, so they're moving them back to the United States. I spoke to Tim Cook this morning, and he's going to, I think, even up his numbers, $500 billion. He's going to be building a lot of plants in the United States for Apple, and we look forward to that. I really do look forward to that. But the talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest. And they were very happy to be able to do something with us. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing. But one of the biggest things that we're doing, and I don't know if people realize this, but we made a great deal with China, great trade deal. But it was a much bigger deal originally, and then they canceled it right in the last day. Some of you faces I remember were there when that happened. I remember you. And we had a deal where they opened up their country to trade with the United States. And they took that away at the last moment, and then I canceled the whole thing. And then 6 months later, we ended up doing a smaller deal. But it was a big deal. It was $50 billion worth of product that they were going to purchase from our farmers, et cetera. And we agreed to that. People thought it was 15 because they were doing 15. We made it 50 because I misunderstood the 15. I thought they said, I said, you got to get 50. Because when I asked, if you remember the story, when I asked, what are we doing with them? My Secretary of Agriculture at the time,
It's so hard to keep up with this man.
Sonny Perdue, said, sir, it's about 15 billion and we're asking for 15. And I thought he said 50. So I said, so they came back with the deal at 15. And I said, no way, I want 50 because you said 50. They said, sir, we didn't say that anyway.
This is why you can't negotiate with this man, bro. If you don't speak English and you're trying to negotiate with this man, you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Just give it to him. I'll catch up on chat in a minute, guys. This is too much.
Bottom line, I said, go back and ask for 50, and they gave us 50. And they were honoring the deal. And we would call them up a lot for the corn and for the wheat and for everything. They were honoring the deal and American business to go in. And it would have been a great thing, I think, for China. They would be able to see things that they haven't seen. They would be able to buy products that they have never been able to buy. Would have been great for American business. I think it would have brought unity between China, better unity between China and the United States. And the bottom line is that they canceled it the last day. We were all set to sign it, and then I went a little bit angry. I got a little angry. I said, they canceled the deal. The deal was done. It was all ready to be signed. And people went over, they came back to me, sir, they don't want to sign the opening up China. Well, the biggest thing that we're discussing is the opening up China, and they've agreed to do that. But it's going to take a while to paper it. You know, that's not the easiest thing to paper. But that's the single, I think, to me, some people would disagree. Some people would say we're getting a lot of money with tariffs or whatever. But, you know, especially when you add what we already have. Because remember, we're already getting the 50% on steel and different things. That's not included in these numbers. So you can add that. But the biggest thing to me is the opening up. I think it would be fantastic for our businesses if we could go in and compete with China. It would be a lot of jobs for China. It would be, I think, at a time when they can frankly use the jobs. And that's what we're talking about. So that's a very, very important element to add. So when Scott, I watched him speak the other day, and I think he didn't want to say it, but I said, it's okay to say it. Look, if we don't get it, we don't get it. But if we don't get it, it won't be a positive thing. But if we do get it, I think it's maybe the most important thing to happen. Because if you think about it, we opened up our country to China. They come, they have very few restrictions. And they didn't open their country to us. Never made sense to me. It's not fair. And they've agreed to open China, fully open China. And I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us. And I think it's going to be great for unification and peace. China will also suspend and remove all of its non-monetary barriers. They've agreed to do that. Well, they're very numerous. But again, to me, the biggest thing that came out of that meeting is they've agreed. Now we have to get it papered, but they've agreed to open up China.
Pyra, do you know what the fuck Trump's talking about?
And third, I'm very happy to announce that
her name's Pyra, chat.
Idan Alexander, an American citizen who, until recently, most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually. And he's going to be released before the eyes of Steve Witkoff, who has done a fantastic job. I know a lot of people that have a lot of talent. I know Steve had a lot of talent. But I know a lot of people with a lot of talent. But there's one that I thought had a special way about him, special personality. Aside from being a good deal maker, had a special way about him, and it was Steve. Knew very little about the subject matter. Who does? But he learned it in about 2 hours. And he's been fantastic. So I want to just thank Steve. But
this is what I'm talking about, chat. Like, imagine you don't speak English and you sit in a room with Trump. You have no fucking clue what he said for the last, 20 minutes. I have a hard time following him. By the way, Kat's name is Pyra. I see a bunch of people asking. Yeah, she just wants to lay here.
They're going to be releasing Idan in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say. And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy. So it's, as you know, Idan's the only American citizen who's captured and held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, 2023. And he's coming home to his parents, which is really great news. I mean, to me, it's big news. They thought he was dead.
To me, it's great. It's big news.
So that's
the biggest news I've ever heard.
We'll be heading there, and we'll be seeing 3 primary countries. You know all about that: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. On Thursday's meeting with Russia and Ukraine is very important. I was very insistent that meeting take place. I think good things can come out of that meeting. Stop the bloodshed of the horrible, it's a bloodbath. But that 5,000 more, it's really much more, I'm trying to be conservative, more than 5,000 soldiers. Russian, they're not American soldiers, they're from Russia, they're from Ukraine, but they're people. They're human souls, and they're being killed at levels that we haven't seen since the Second World War. And it's every week, a lot of drone fighting. It's a whole new form of warfare, and it's violent and vicious. And so that's it. I'd like to go back to China just for a second. They're very heavy on the fentanyl. We're charging them, as you know, 20% for the fact that they send fentanyl into our country. And they've agreed that they're going to stop that. And, you know, they'll be rewarded by not having to pay, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. So the fentanyl should stop. It comes from China. It's amazing. And comes through our southern border, comes through our northern border too, comes through Canada, and comes through our southern border, much more through the southern border. But so that's a very important subject to me, because everybody in this room has lost friends or people that have family members that have died of fentanyl. So there's a big incentive for China to stop, and I take them at their word. They're going to work on that, I think, very hard. And one thing, when they work on something, they get it done. So now I'm about to depart on a historic visit. Some of you are going with us to, as I said, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates. Before I do, I'll sign one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. I don't think there's ever been anything signed like this, certainly not with respect to health care, nothing even close. I'm delighted to be joined on this occasion by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., who is doing a really good job, I have to tell you that. CMS Administrator, a friend of mine, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who is an amazing guy. You know, I was telling Bobby before, Oz had a very successful show, but it hurt his reputation. Because when you're in show business, it hurts your reputation a little bit. It's good for you, but in terms of professionalism and being a doctor, it sort of hurts your reputation. This guy went to the best schools, was the best, I mean, top of the line. Then he did a television show, became a success, made a lot of money, all that stuff, but it sort of hurt him. And you know who I compare that to? I hate to say this, but a special woman, Jeanine Pirro. She was the toughest, smartest DA, maybe in our countries, in our cities, and strongest district attorneys in the history of New York. Highly respected, very tough. Went after the drug dealers at a level that you don't see today anymore. And hopefully she's given up a tremendous.
Night, Richard.
She's leaving the #1 show on cable television, one of the #1 shows on television, period. The five,
like
but
the
they've
stream
got
up.
great people left
in here to see
behind, but
this.
she was a big part of it. And so I equated to that. Jeanine Pirro is unbelievable. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary, with a reputation that's second to none, and the job he's doing already has been fantastic. Thank you, Marty. And Director of National Institute of Health, Jay
Trump's glazing
Bhattacharya, who has been, as you know, from Stanford, so highly regarded, and have all been working with us very hard on this. And the question they would ask, being a little bit new to the government aspect of it, is why doesn't somebody fight the drug price situation, meaning equalization? There's a term, it's called equalization. Nobody wants to mention that term. And I'm not knocking the drug companies. I'm really more knocking the countries than the drug companies, because they're forced to do things. But the drug lobby is the strongest lobby in this country, they say, the drug lobby. It's between that and lawyers. And they have a lot of power. But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for, and will no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing, but they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta. They're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union-centric, and they get rewarded $15 billion, $17 billion, $20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. Not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you. So what's been happening is we've been subsidizing other countries throughout the world, not just in Europe, throughout the world. European Union was the most difficult from what I understand. I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat
Why
shot
would you say that?
drug.
Welcome in, everyone new.
And he called me
Penny,
up,
hey, Mark.
and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said,
what is going on?
He said,
what is happening?
I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
That's what we want to know.
He said, so I checked. And it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill that I buy in New York. And here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned. But it was just one of those stories. And I brought it up with the drug companies, represented by somebody who's very, very smart, good person, too. And we argued about it for about half hour. And then finally he just said, because they can't justify it, he just said, look, you got me.
You got me.
You got me.
Me too.
I can no longer they've been justifying this crap for years. They said, oh, it's research and development. Well, I said, well, research and development, other countries should pay research and development too. It's for their benefit. It was just one of those things. And the other countries would set a price, and they'd meet the price, and they'd say, if you don't meet the price, you can't sell it in our country. I said, well, then you walk away, and, they'll call you back, and they'll sell it in the country. But now they'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year. But I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it in the way mathematically.
But on what?
Farmer has to say, we're sorry, but we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty. It's trade. It's trade. And pharma is also very powerful. And the Democrats have protected pharma. This is the Democrats have protected pharma. These are the Democrats. And by the way, I just called the Speaker of the House, and I just called
Speaker of the House,
the leader, our leader in the Senate, John Thune, Mike Johnson. Spoke to both of them. I said, when you score, you're going to have to score two things. You're going to have to, number one, score that hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is coming in. But even bigger than that, you're going to have to score that your cost for Medicaid and Medicare,
I'm not too sure,
and just basically pharmaceuticals and drugs is going down at a level that nobody has ever seen before. It'll pay for the Golden Dome. I see the Golden Dome is there, see? That'll easily pay for the Golden Dome. And we'll have a lot of money left over. We need the Golden Dome, by the way, in this world. Although this world's a lot safer today than it was a week ago, and a lot safer than it was 6 months ago. We had people that had no clue what they were doing. So today, Americans spend 70% more for prescription drugs than we spent in the year 2000. Think of that. Our country has the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by sometimes a factor of 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's not like they're slightly higher. They're 6, 7, 8 times. There are even cases of 10 times higher. So that you go 10 times more expensive for the same drug, that's big numbers. Even though the United States is home to only 4% of the world's population, pharmaceutical companies make more than 2/3 of their profits in America. So think of that. With 4% of the population, the pharmaceutical companies make most of their money, most of their profits from America. That's not a good thing. Now, I think, by the way, I have great respect for these companies and for the people that run them. I really do. And I think they did one of the greatest jobs in history for their company, convincing people for many years that this was a fair system. And nobody really understood why, but I figured it out. For years, pharmaceutical and drug companies have said that research and development costs were what they are, and for no reason whatsoever. They had to be borne by America alone. Not anymore, they don't. This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all parts of the European Union. They were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade, too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And
oh God, here we go.
We've just started with them.
China.
Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards.
Speaking to me.
They treated us very unfairly. They sell us 13 million cars. We sell them none. They sell us their agricultural products. We sell them virtually none. They don't take our products. That gives us all the cards, and very unfair. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is. And believe it or not, because it's really the world we're talking about, not just the European Union, but because it's the world, the numbers are for the healthcare company not as bad as you would think. They'll make the same. I think the healthcare companies should make pretty much the same money. I really don't believe they should be affected very much, because it's just a redistribution of wealth. It's a redistribution where it could be the same top line, but it's going to be distributed differently. Europe's going to have to pay a little bit more. The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Again, because it's a much smaller population than when you think of the whole world. So basically what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize. Where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to sacrifice that, and help them. But it's called Most Favored Nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price. That's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations. That's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here. That's not even bad. There are much worse examples. And the weight loss drug, Ozempic, costs 10 times more in the United States than in the rest of the developed world. 10 times more. Why? Why? What did we do? Suckers. But we never had a president that had the courage to do this. And nobody knew the system like I do. I mean, I've gotten to know this system so well. And I don't think it's fair that it benefits Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. It's not a good health care. It works. I made it work. I had an obligation to make it work, or an obligation to let it die. I chose that we had to make it work. I had to make it as good as possible. And I had a choice. I could have let it fail or make it as good as possible. As good as possible means it was still not very good, but it survived. And we did the right thing. But this makes everything work. And I don't want to have a bad form of health care work because of the fact I was able to cut drug prices by 80 or 90%. So we're going to maybe come up with something. I think this gives the Republicans a chance to actually do a health care that's much better than Obamacare and for less money, which if you guys would work on that along with Congress. But I do want to say that Democrats could have done this a long time ago. They have fought like hell for the drug companies, and they knew they were doing the wrong thing. And it's going to be very hard. I was just telling the leader and the speaker that it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to vote against the one big, beautiful deal. The greatest tax cuts in history, greatest everything, but now you have the big drug prices because that's going to be included. It makes that whole situation different from a scoring standpoint. I just told them, I called them up about this. I said, I'm going to do something that's going to be very monumental, and you're going to be scoring. You better tell your people that this is going to score really well, and then add hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs to your list also. But as big as the tariffs are, this is something that really hits quickly. 5 years ago, I signed an executive order to confront this disaster, but only confront it in a minor way. It was a good confrontation, but never to this extent. And it took people a little while to understand a very complicated system. But Joe Biden, without any knowledge of what he was doing, terminated the policy and then pretended to negotiate under a new system. And then you take a look, 5 out of the 10 drugs that he negotiated are now over 200% more expensive in America than the rest of the world, and far more expensive than when he even got involved. Much more expensive than when he got involved. Joe Biden's plan was as you know, because you wrote about it, you don't say it very loudly, but it was a very big failure, was his whole presidency. First, I'm directing the U.S. Trade Representatives and Department of Commerce to begin investigations into foreign nations that extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept bottom line and very low dollar amounts for their product, unfairly shifting the cost burden onto American patients. And we'll be taking a look at that very strongly. The biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to tell those countries, like those represented by the European Union, that, that game is up. Sorry. And if they want to get cute, then they don't have to sell cars into the United States anymore. It's a very big subject. And they won't get cute, because I'll defend the drug companies from that standpoint. They were given a price by the European Unions and other countries. This is what you do. This is what we're going to pay. We're not going to pay any more. Let America pay the difference, because there was a big shortfall. Let America pay it. And that's what we did, but we're not doing it anymore. Next, my administration will secure what we're calling most favored nations drug pricing. The principle is simple. Whatever the lowest price paid for a drug in other developed countries, that is the price that Americans will pay. And we're using the term other developed countries because there are some countries that need some additional help, and that's fine. I think that's very good. Some prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 50 to 80 to 90%. Big Pharma will either abide by this principle voluntarily or will use the power of the federal government to ensure that we are paying the same price as other countries. To accelerate these price restrictions and reductions, my administration will also cut out the middlemen. We're going to totally cut out the famous middlemen. Nobody knows who they are, middlemen. I've been hearing the term for 25 years, middlemen. I don't know who they are, but they're rich. That I can tell you. We're going to cut out the middlemen and facilitate the direct sale of drugs at the most favored nation price directly to the American citizen. So we're cutting out, Bobby, the middlemen. It's so important, right? You got to do that. They're worse than the drug companies. They don't even make a product, and they make a fortune. It's very smart business people, that I can tell you. If companies make no significant progress toward most favored.
Hello? Apparently this speech is from today, and it's covering a bunch of stuff, the new tariffs and relationships and how we're managing with that. And I mean, catch up if you can, dude. He's really hard to follow. This has been like brain work. For those of you that don't know, we smoked right before, so this has been brain work to follow. And I'm trying to keep up on chat, and I'm reading it, you guys. I'm reading it. It's just Trump is enough.
Nation pricing, which we India and Pakistan really helped the situation. Very heated situation. Could have lost millions of people, more than millions. I mean, many millions of people. And they want to do business with America, but we never used our powers that way. We never knew how. We never had people that knew how to do that. We'll also open up America's market to safe and legal imports of affordable drugs from other countries, putting dramatic downward pressure on prices. And if necessary, we'll investigate the drug companies, and we'll, in particular, investigate the countries that are doing this, and we will add it onto the price that we charge them for doing business in America. In other words, we'll add it on to tariffs if they don't do what is right, which is everybody should equalize. Everybody should pay the same price. And special interests may not like this very much, but the American people will. I am doing this for the American people. I'm doing this against the most powerful lobby in the world, probably the drug lobby, drug and pharmaceutical lobby. But it's one of the most important orders, I think, that's ever been signed, certainly with regard to health care or health in the history of our country, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And I'd like to ask Robert F. Kennedy to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is where we get to this guy. This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobby senator in Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. You knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry, too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people. We have 4.2% of the world's population. Our country represents 75% of the revenues for pharmaceutical companies. We spend in our country $1,126 per capita on drugs. In Britain, they spend about $240. They spend 1/5 of what we do. And this is true across Europe. And the drug companies, Europeans, if you ask them, it made no sense what they were saying. America has to pay for this innovation or it's not going to happen. What President Trump is saying to our European partners is you've got to raise the amount that you're paying for those drugs and pay for your share of the innovation. That the United States is no longer subsidizing that. If the Europeans raise the price of their drugs by just 20%, that is $10 trillion that can be spent on innovation and the health of all people all across the globe is going to increase because we're going to have better products. So I'm just so grateful to be here today. I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime. I have a couple of kids who are Democrats, are big Bernie Sanders fans, and when I told them that this was going to happen, they had tears in their eyes because they thought this is never going to happen in our lifetime, and we finally have a president who's willing to stand up for the American people. Thank you, and Dr. Oz.
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. This is the most powerful executive order on pharmacy pricing and healthcare ever in the history of our nation. And it's only happening because we have a president with the fortitude, the guts to stand up to the withering criticism. And
should be fun. I don't know. You'll maybe find reasons why it's not.
It just resets. Okay, so that's kind of nutty. That was a lot to process. That was like extreme word vomit. Like he was tossing a salad the whole time. I pinned that comment. That's exactly what it is. I don't know what is up with Trump right now. Because at NATO,
door opens.
I don't know if you guys saw any of the NATO speeches. We streamed it earlier, so if you weren't here for that, you missed it. But yeah, he's been snapping off lately, especially since after the ceasefire, Israel and Iran both fired off at each other. Ever since that, man, Trump's been a savage. I got one more thing to do with the. This one's ICE more related, not so much with the war. And this will be our last politics topic for the night. After this, we might watch a couple of cop review videos like we did the other night. And
Highway becomes war zone as migrants battle ICE. What do we got here? Black car. Oh, door opens. 1, 2. Uh-oh. Hey! Oh, look, the car's driving away. Officer's got to get back in the car. Look at his car swerving like that. This guy's totally out. Tries to turn a corner. Oh, that didn't work out.
Hey! A pistol! A pistol! A pistol! I can speak English. On the ground! On the ground!
He said, I can speak English.
On the ground! Put your hands behind your back! Anybody else? No. Get up!
They got him.
How old are you? 19, sir.
19! This guy just threw his whole life away. But before we see some even crazier chases, you're not gonna believe what this driver says to the police.
What's that? License. Oh, you don't have it with you? No, I don't. I just try to show it to Eagle Pass the same way. They just told me to keep it. What's that? I just try to show it to Eagle Pass. So the same way.
Oh, you got you. First mistake, no license.
On the way. Oh, what for? I got pulled over in Eagle Pass because I didn't use the turn signal cutting into a lane. So they just ripped my whole car apart over there, and then I come through the border patrol. Yeah. They did the same to me. Just because I didn't have my license with me. I showed them the picture of my license and everything. They did the same thing.
Do you give me consent to search the vehicle?
They just searched my car twice.
Okay, I understand that. You give me consent though? No?
I don't give anybody consent. They just went through my whole car with the dogs and everything in border patrol, so I don't understand. Listen, I ain't hiding nothing. You ain't my name. I don't know what you even put.
He's not hiding anything.
I told you the tint. Yes, 10%.
You checked my tint.
It's 25%.
So it's a traffic stop.
Wait till you see what happens.
After I verify the tint, then that's when I ask for your ID.
Okay.
Oh, so they did get a dog, and now they're going to search the car without his consent. Look at that dog sniffing around. He knows. Oh, what's going to happen? What's in the...
Oh, my. 2 for right now. My cousin.
That's my cousin.
My cousin?
That's my cousin.
Why didn't you tell me he was in the vehicle?
Man, he ain't got warrants, man.
But who drives with him in the trunk? Who drives with him in the trunk like that?
They wanted to go back there. I don't know.
They wanted to go back there.
Ride back there.
That's right there. You're detained right now?
Back up front?
Yeah. That's fine. Baby, I love you.
Wow. They wanted to go back there. That's what he told the police. Unbelievable. But this guy thinks because he's got a big...
Now, let me state, I don't think any of this is right. I don't like what ICE is doing throughout the U.S. I don't like the federal involvement, none of that. But seeing the footage of it and watching it, like I said, we watched the ICE raids. If you haven't seen that yet, go watch the ICE raids in L.A. It's insane. That shows what the struggle is really like right now. But I think seeing the raw footage and getting more knowledge on what's actually happening is good for everybody.
Truck that can go off-road, he's gonna get away. He's gonna ram that fence. Bang!
116 Del Rio fell out, or correction, the vehicle went off the road onto a ranch road. I got cords when ready. And be advised, the driver's in a blue long sleeve shirt. Driver's in a blue long sleeve shirt.
Look at that window tint. You can't see how many people are in that car, and there are a lot of people in that car. Bang, another gate.
And vehicle just busted through another ranch fence. We are still eastbound,
Warning, terrain.
And vehicle just busted through another fence. We are now northbound. I have cords for the fence. It's going to be 29 point.
Okay.
Oh.
Top is going to be standby. Break. Standby.
Now he stops.
Bail out. We have
1,
bodies
2, 3,
bailing
4.
out. Standby for cords.
5 people?
It's going to be
people?
top is 29. Oh, he threw his shirt off, dude. There's a blue long sleeve shirt right here.
Probably. Now he's taking off his clothes to hide.
Running, but they're all staying together. All right, these two just got up and ran. I have cords.
Warning, terrain. Go ahead.
Horse patrol, hard left, to your left.
Oh, they got the horse after him. You can't get away from a horse.
Hey, troop, you're on him. Troop. 10 degrees to your left. Troop, yep.
Percent fuel.
Oh.
1 second. I gotta find that other one, man. Or you know.
They got him.
Got
K9
those
got
guys.
One.
Oh, he
K9
did?
was 15 with 1. He didn't leave him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
Dude,
right
this
there.
is
I
mounted
didn't know-
patrol
I'm
right
sorry.
here.
I didn't hear it. All right, I believe that's all of them. We had 2 that were separate from the group. Y'all got those 2. That's all that we saw.
Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And this guy had an outstanding warrant. But if you wanted to smuggle 25 people, what kind of truck would you use?
Okay. Is it in park? Okay. It's still right there for me. So what happened?
I was trying to back up, and then he said that I needed him. I really
Okay. You just don't remember? Oh.
Wait till you see what's in this truck.
Your head where? Oh, your head is Houston? Pero vienes de dónde? Alton? Oh, ¿qué estás haciendo allá? She drove from Houston to the valley just to pick up 2 mattresses. And she's got them in the back of the truck. And the truck is locked. They're in there? Okay. How many, qué tantos gente ahí está adentro?
They know. They're just cuffing her. Oh, something fishy about these mattresses.
Monday? Uno? ¿Estás bien? Mijo?
Ooh, little
¿Estás bien?
kids.
You
So
okay?
scary.
Hey, Charles, 1550 level. Can you get EMS this way? We got young kids too.
Look at all these people. There's 25 people in this truck.
Hey, they're giving them water.
Look at that. Oh, they were lying on one of the mattresses.
Sálgase.
There's still people hiding.
Sálgase.
Wow. Look at that. That is crazy. Look at all those mattresses.
There's a lot more than 2
Wow.
mattresses.
And apparently this woman's from Houston, Texas, smuggling 25 people. She's going to be in jail for a long time. But this next guy thinks he's got an even better way to hide his human cargo, bringing it into the country illegally. Wait till you see this.
What's your truck? No, it's some kind of glasses. Okay. Where are you coming in from? I honestly have no idea. I'm from California.
He doesn't know where he's coming in from.
And this ain't California. Smuggling ain't allowed over here.
Ooh.
You are involved with that. Texas is a 10-year minimum sentence for human smuggling.
10-year
If nobody
minimum.
gets hurt or there's nothing else, it's a minimum 10-year deferred.
He looks
Yeah,
depressed.
It's horrible, huh?
Here we got the dash cam view from the trooper's car. Oh, he's got something.
There are the people in there. They're gonna put their handcuffs this for right now.
Hey, what are we gonna find? Guy's just driving around.
Oh
with-
yeah, compartment. There's bodies.
Oh, a secret compartment.
There's bodies. Come here, Lord.
Wow.
Hey, ven para acá.
Oh,
Ven out, man. Hey, you're under arrest.
10-year minimum for this.
¿Cuántas personas? Dos.
2 people?
Maybe 1095. It's a trailer, credit compartment. It's going to be loaded with bodies.
Wow. I'm telling you, these cops, they know what they're looking for. They catch these smugglers all the time. But as you watch this wild police chase right here, you'll see what it takes for these criminals to actually avoid arrest.
It's LA County Sheriff's deputies that had been in pursuit of a stolen vehicle. It was a Jeep, but now we're looking, I believe, at a Challenger.
Wow,
this vehicle that's going
that looks like a Dodge Demon, man. Look at this thing.
Because we witnessed just off of Gage in the 110, the person inside of the Jeep got out, and this vehicle was waiting for them. And it looked like
look at
they
the
got
speedometer up here in the corner.
So this is an accessory to this allegedly stolen vehicle. They blasted right through a red light earlier at Gage as well, and nearly got into a T-bone collision with another vehicle. So very, very dangerous. We're now definitely getting a look at two people in the car here as they fly towards us. And this is a very capable car, straight line speed anyway with this Challenger. It might even be one of the upgraded ones. I see that red logo there at 130 miles an hour. This is unreal in the carpool lane. So really, really dangerous one here as we're now making our way towards West LA. Mike and Juan.
Mike, you were
this
watching
is so crazy.
You saw him actually switch cars?
Yeah, and it was very, very coordinated, Juan. And, you know, Des can attest to that, too. We watched him get off the freeway. He knew exactly where to park. I mean, the swap was seconds. It was not a very long period of time. There was no confusion on what they were doing. This was obviously a very pre-planned situation as we are just flying down the 110 freeway, or up the 110 freeway, rather. But, yeah, they got out. He jumped in that passenger seat and without hesitation took off. Now, the Sheriff's Department had originally lost this one. We've been keeping track of this for several minutes now. The Sheriff's Department originally lost at Air 21 from the...
Oh, he got off.
I think so, yeah. We're going to be getting off, and this is, you know, just kind of the modus operandi lately, and I'm sure this was the plan. There's no way this is this person's first rodeo doing this with how
these are
quickly
professional
that
car
swap
thieves right
was
here.
getting to the vehicle and then flying up here, and they knew, you know, if they drove 130 miles an hour now getting into downtown LA. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to say that this is the same Charger, but I know that we've covered pursuits like this with these Chargers. I mean, it's almost like something, you know, out of Fast and the Furious, not to make light of this, but the kinds of driving that we see, and now we're, you know, vanishing into downtown LA, and here is what we've just been seeing way too commonly now. There were no ground units behind this suspect. They're going to try to blend in. We're trying to find him, and all you got to do is get behind one tall building, and, you know, there were no ground units there. So, you know, hopefully the owner of that Jeep is going to get their
probably
vehicle
because
back
the
on
police
scene,
are busy
but
dealing with
this
all the
person
protests
is
in LA.
like
That's why they
likely
can't
to get
catch these
away.
criminals.
It's just really hard to follow a vehicle going 130 miles an hour without endangering everyone any more than they already were. I mean, here's the LAPD here in the area. If they're
lights aren't even on,
privy to what's going on, but we last saw them right around this area. It was right around Grand and 5th, and they were off the freeway, and just like that, they have vanished. That was definitely a high-performance Challenger, maybe an SRT model. You're talking could be 500 or 600 horsepower on that vehicle.
So one of the good things going for law enforcement, when they try to track down these smugglers, they're not looking for some fast sports car. And right now, they're chasing a car that's full of passengers, and well, this guy's a madman. Look at him driving into a shopping mall here. This is another smuggling video. Look at how many cops they got on him. What's going to happen in this shopping mall?
Going to be inside the HP parking lot.
They jumped out of the car and they're running. So the passengers split and the driver's trying to make a break for it. And now they're back after the driver. What is he going to do now that his car is empty? Oh, he's in another shopping center. Oh, he's coming right at him. Oh!
Get back.
Ooh. He hit a police officer's car. Wow. And see what law enforcement can do when they're not pinned down, dealing with wild, out-of-control protesters that have no respect for the law. What do you think about this? And these smugglers putting the entire world at risk to get paid, bringing people into the country illegally. What should the sentence be for this? Thank you so much.
Guys, that's tough, man. That was just an 18-year-old. Ah, that sucks. I hate that they're getting caught up in this type of shit, too. Okay. I think we finished up for our political stuff for today. There are a couple of interesting... Where was it?
It's called equalization.
I think I just did this to find it. Not that speech again. There were a couple of things that we were looking at. There was like a missing girl. Where is that? There it is.
Who's hiding under the blanket?
Just a friend, like a really close friend.
She's your girlfriend?
Because I just met her. That's way too soon.
How long ago did you meet her?
About 2 days ago.
2021. Does that look like her? Hey, I got a question for you. Is that you?
No, sir. That's his wife.
His wife? He's got center console.
I lied about who she was?
Yeah. This is gonna work a whole lot easier if you quit lying to me.
Over 1,400 miles from home, a young girl is found hiding under a blanket during a routine traffic stop. Behind the wheel is a 32-year-old man who claims he just met her days earlier in Las Vegas. But when police start peeling back the story, they find lies, fake names, and the culmination of a shocking multi-state investigation.
Yeah,
You said she's 19.
I did the math wrong. I didn't know.
I did
The following report is based on official police records, and the footage has never been seen before until now. Please note that all persons charged with a crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. Just as the sun is coming up in Navajo County, Arizona, a sheriff's deputy notices a black SUV headed eastbound on Interstate 40 with several items hanging from the rearview mirror. When he pulls up behind the vehicle, the driver instantly takes the next exit, at which point the deputy makes the stop, only to find that the driver is not alone.
How you doing? Good. I'm Smith. I'm with the Navajo County Sheriff's Office. The reason I pulled you over, you have all those things hanging from your rearview mirror. That's an obstruction of view from the roadway.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Who's hiding under the blanket? Huh? Well, can I have you put the blanket down just so I know that there's not a gun or nothing under there?
There's nothing. It's passed out.
Is she all right?
Yeah. You ready? She's just thinking.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the car hiding?
No, just two dogs.
2 dogs?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get your driver's license, your registration, and your insurance? Can I have her keep this blanket down? I don't know if there's like a weapon or anything underneath there.
I promise. She's just passed out.
Just passed out?
Yeah, it's just sleeping. It's early. You can tell.
Okay. Can I get her ID?
She doesn't.
What's her name? Daisy? Daisy what? And birthday?
2007. Yes.
2007?
Yeah.
Daisy Garcia Guzman? Okay. All right. Can I have you come on back? I'll give you a written warning.
The driver, Raul Alexis Arellano Romero, is patted down and taken to sit in the deputy's front seat. But it's the identity of his female passenger that will turn this routine traffic stop into a morning of mystery.
You're not gonna lock me in here.
You got a handle. How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. Not too bad. A little tired, but not too bad.
Gotcha. Where are you coming from?
I'm originally from Puerto Rico, actually.
Or where are you coming from?
Oh, right now? So I traveled to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on my way back home to New Mexico.
Gotcha. See you anymore?
No, I don't.
That's not how you get to New Mexico.
Well, I had to kind of stop a little bit because it's starting to get tired. So I thought I could find somewhere here, but I guess there's nothing here. Thought that was possibly a gas station. That doesn't look like one.
Yeah, you just passed like a dozen of them, actually.
Oh, I did for real?
Yeah.
I feel very, very weird being in your car right now, I'm not gonna lie.
Why is that? Would you rather stand out in the cold?
I mean, I could have just stayed in the car. It's just kind of weird. I've never been invited into.
Consider it your first time.
So
Yeah.
Where's Daisy from? Alabama or New Mexico?
I think she's from New Mexico, if I remember correctly. Yes.
She's your girlfriend?
No, she's not.
Who is she?
Just a friend, like a really close friend. Nothing like that.
How old is she?
19.
The deputy has noticed Raul's nervousness, writing in his report that his hands were shaking as he handed over his license. He decides to dig a little deeper into Raul's story.
So she's 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, she's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You said she didn't have an ID on her.
Mm-mm.
What do you mean by that?
I don't think she has one. I don't think she's ever gotten one yet.
Not even an ID?
Not that I know of. I mean, she hasn't showed me or talked to me about one. So
Yo, what's
I really
good,
don't know.
Share Bear?
How long ago did you meet her?
Share Bear, we upgraded. You know what I'm saying? Asteroid 50s, you know what I'm talking about?
About 2 days ago, something like that.
Where'd you meet her at?
Vegas.
And you were just taking her home?
Nah, kind of. Not really like that. She just said that she's never been to New Mexico. And I told her, I'm like, well, it's really flat land. So thought we'd go and see it
I
together.
thought you said she was your girlfriend.
I never said she was.
Okay. Must have been a misunderstanding.
No, I never said she was. I just met her. That's way too soon. Just been kind of getting to know her, I guess.
With Raul's answers not quite
friend.
lining up, the deputy calls for backup.
So what are you planning on doing with her?
Nothing. Just, she wanted to go to New Mexico, so she asked for a drive. That's why I think she's like a drifter or something. Or a nomad.
We got a problem with human smuggling going on.
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what human smuggling is?
English isn't my first language, so...
You speak very good English.
I know,
you know
I know I do, but smuggling sounds like...
I was not born yesterday. You know what human smuggling, human trafficking is?
Human trafficking, yes.
Okay.
But
there's a little bit of a difference. So human smuggling would be hiding an individual that's not from this country, bringing them across and taking them somewhere to another state.
Gotcha.
Like you met a female 2 days ago.
Yeah.
You're taking her to another state.
I gotcha, but
and you don't really know anything about her.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Do I really look like the smuggling type?
Anybody can be a smuggler.
That's valid.
We've got grandmas, we got grandpas, we got
no. That's just crazy.
I can tell you that as soon as I get behind you, you jump off the interstate and you go to a dead-end road saying that you're going to New Mexico. It doesn't help.
Oh, that's fair. Well, I mean, I'm not from here.
To get to the bottom of things, the deputy turns to the girl for answers.
Do you have an ID on you, Daisy? And what's your last name?
Garcia Guzman.
Okay. What are you doing with him?
Just going to some family.
When did you meet him?
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
Couple years.
Okay.
As a K-9 unit arrives on scene, the police gather Daisy and Raul together so the drug dog can sniff the vehicle. The deputy takes the opportunity to again ask a question he's gotten 2 different answers to.
How old are you, Daisy?
I'm 17.
You're 17.
I thought you were 19.
Well, I'm 2007.
2007.
With the internet.
Oh, well, maybe I did the math wrong.
With that odd excuse hanging in the air, the K-9 deputy comes back with news that adds yet another wrinkle to this traffic stop.
All right, y'all. So my K-9's trained to detect 4 odors, okay? Cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl.
Oh, no.
You indicate a positive alert to the vehicle. Having said that, have you guys been in contact with any of those drugs?
Like, with any, no.
No,
Maybe
like no
weed,
one.
But
he is alert to weed, man.
Okay, well,
no one's smoked any meth. No friends in Vegas messing around with anything.
No, and I didn't really have anybody in the car much, so.
Okay. My K-9 over to the vehicle in the state of Arizona gives us probable cause to search the vehicle. Okay. So we are going to be searching the vehicle. You guys are saying we're not going to find anything? No tutors, no paraphernalia, nothing like that.
Nothing.
Okay.
As they prepare to search the car, Daisy and Raul are separated once more.
Daisy, can you come here real quick?
Maybe at most.
Can I search you real quick?
Like, weed, but nothing like crazy or anything like that.
You got nothing on you? I'm gonna have you sit in the front seat of my car, okay? Before anybody goes in here without me in there, I gotta put you in handcuffs, okay? Just so you don't grab any of my stuff. Just go ahead and put them behind your back.
Wait, why are you?
She's just detained right now.
Because I'm not gonna be in here to watch her. She's just gonna sit in my vehicle. I don't need anyone going through my computer and
Oh, okay.
As they begin the search, the deputies discuss the growing discrepancies in the pair's stories.
So she's hiding under this.
Yeah.
And like I pull it up, she looks young. He says she's 19 and they met 2 days ago. She says they met a long time ago and that she's 17.
Okay.
And they met in Vegas and he's taking her home to New Mexico. Or to New
LPRs have him in Idaho and he said he only went to Vegas.
Interesting.
He's got knives all over the place. I definitely
They can read
CCH.
Whoa, they can read LPRs that fast and see where this car has traveled? Insane.
She has no luggage in the car. Oh, there's the weed.
But at the moment, the deputies are more interested in finding out the truth behind Daisy and Raul's situation than what they found in the SUV.
Now that you're not next to him, have you seen him use any drugs over the past couple days?
No, sir.
No? And how old are you?
17.
Okay, so did you get him a fake ID?
No, sir.
Did you give him a fake name and date of birth?
No, sir.
So why does the date of birth that he ran come back to someone who's 19? You don't know?
No, sir.
Okay, how long have you known him?
Multiple years.
Multiple years, okay. And how old is he? Not sure. Do you know his full name?
Raul Alexis Ariana.
Okay. Is that your boyfriend or no, just a friend?
We're kind of like family.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a personal question. It's up to you if you want to answer. Have you guys had any kind of sexual contact or something like that? No? Okay.
The cops note that a fake tattoo on Daisy's neck is wearing off, giving them more reason to suspect that she might be younger than she's letting on. Meanwhile, the other deputy turns up the heat on Raul.
Can you relay exactly what happened this weekend?
What do you mean?
With her and your travel plans and everything like that?
Why?
Because it's not adding up. I've talked to her, talked to you. I'm getting two different stories. I just want to figure out what actually happened so that we can go on from there.
Okay, what did she say?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Well, I mean, I feel weird answering. I just told you what I told you what happened.
So you met her 2 days ago?
Yes.
You went to Vegas. You met her 2 days ago?
Yes. Well, yes.
You said she's 19. She's 17.
I did the math wrong. I didn't know.
And what are your plans with her? Because it
Nothing.
doesn't make sense that you're going to take her to New Mexico, but you're not going to take her home.
No, I am taking her back. I travel a lot. So I just going to New Mexico for a little bit. I'm going to see my mom. My dog just died. One of my dogs just died, or my mom's dog just died.
Well, what are you going to do with her? You said you're not taking her to your mom.
Not like to stay. Not like that. No. She's going to get a hotel, I'm guessing. I really don't know.
With what money?
I didn't really think about that, to be honest. I guess with mine. Anyways, at this point, I feel like I need a lawyer because I'm feeling a little harassed. I'm not going to lie.
You're not being harassed. You're detained.
I know,
at this
but
point, okay? You're going to go in the back of one of these cars.
Seems a little sketchy. So I'm saying,
you'll be fine.
started off with
You'll be fine.
Sure. I'm not from here. I don't know how this place works, and I know some places
I can tell you that if you're taking a 17-year-old girl across state lines and you don't know any of that information, you go to Vegas, you pick her up, everything that I've seen so far, obviously you're detained, okay?
The deputy will soon discover the truth behind Daisy's identity, but it will take some work to get past what he believes is possibly Raul's coaching.
All right, easy. So I've got a bunch of questions because this isn't really making sense to me, okay? Are you from California?
No, sir.
Where are you from?
Like where I was born.
Like where are you living right now?
What's it called? No, I forgot what it's called.
Okay. Just be honest with me, please, because we will figure out everything, okay? Just please be honest with me so that it's not any more confusing than it needs to be. Can I get your real name? We're going to get a fingerprint scanner here. We're going to get a fingerprint scanner here.
Do I have to do it?
What?
Do I have to do it?
Yeah, we're going to get your identity. Okay. So I'm going to need your full name. Here's the thing, Daisy, or whatever your name is. You're not in trouble right now. We are the police. We're here to help you. We're not here to get him in trouble, but you're 17 years old. I cannot let you go with him from here on, okay? So we need to figure out who you are and where we can help you go. What's your name?
Daisy.
No, tell me your real name.
Daisy.
Okay, how do you spell it? Here's the thing. If you lie about your name, you're going to jail. And we will figure it out. We've got facial recognition and the fingerprint scanner. Okay. So I'm going to give you, this is your last chance to give me a truthful identification. You're going to have to give me a true name and a date of birth, otherwise you go to jail. Okay?
At last, the girl admits to the deputy that she's not a 17-year-old nomad, but rather a 13-year-old from the opposite side of the country.
God.
You can cancel the facial rec and fingerprint scanner. Located the 101.
Bro, I thought he had maybe taken her when she was 13, and she's 17 now. She's 13 now?
She's a missing juvenile out of Alabama.
Daisy's real name turns out to be Dayetzi Pizarro, listed as missing on a bulletin from the Marshall County, Alabama Sheriff's Office on April 19th, 11 days earlier. It's far from the last twist in this rapidly intensifying case.
What grade are you in?
8.
How long ago did you run away?
Like a week ago.
Okay, and what are you doing with him?
Huh?
What are you doing with him?
I'm just traveling.
The alert out of Alabama about Dayetzi also lists a person of interest, none other than 32-year-old Raul Alexis Arellano Romero.
Right now, you're detained because you lied about who she was. Okay?
I lied about who she was?
Yeah. You've known her longer than 2 days. You've been traveling with her for longer than that. You lived in Alabama, right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you leave Alabama?
Wow, a while ago.
How long is a while ago, man?
Like a while.
Like years?
Months.
Months?
Like months. Like we're talking about maybe 8 months.
Okay.
Almost a year.
2021.
Does that look like her?
I don't know.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is that you?
No, sir. That's
No.
his wife.
His wife?
Yeah.
Okay. It's his wife. So has she been with you ever since you left Alabama?
No.
Okay, so when did you pick her up?
Like 2-3 days ago.
I know, see, dude, this is gonna work a whole lot easier if you quit lying to me, okay? I know you're lying to me, bro. We already know that you've been with her for longer than 2 days. So are you gonna tell me how long you've been with her?
Wait, what makes you think that you know that
Here,
I've been
here's
with
the
her?
thing. I'm done with talking with you. Sit in that car.
I'm
I've already
just-
talked to her. I got all the information that I need.
But when the deputies get on the phone with authorities in Alabama, they learn that there's still much more to uncover in this disturbing case.
It looks like it says she left around like in the morning while the family was asleep. It looks like it was from 7/28/2024.
Exhaust tunnel?
And she was reported missing.
It turns out that this is actually the second time Raul has been accused of taking the girl on an unauthorized road trip, and the deputy gets on the phone with authorities in Massachusetts to learn more about a pending case from last year.
So we had a kidnapping case here in Massachusetts back in, I believe it was in July. He drove all the way over here and picked this child up who was here. She was here on vacation with her mom, her biological mom. He came here and picked her up and took her out of state lines. We were able, with help with the state police, we were able to find them out in like Virginia somewhere, and he was arrested. He was in prison for some time. His case is actually coming up soon. I was just on the phone with the DA. I was not aware that she was on the run again with him.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys found her. Thank you guys. I'll be in touch. Give me a little bit of time. I'm gonna be in touch with her parents as well as the DA's office here, and I'll call you guys back.
Raul is transported to the Navajo County Sheriff's Office for questioning, while Dayetzi is taken to the Family Advocacy Center.
I don't even, that's gross. Okay, guys, we're going to pass off for there for right now. We got a good bit of content in, a little bit from Nato. Thank you guys for sticking along with me. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.